Whether it's bad planning, bad luck, bad timing, or bad inventions, well intentioned bad decisions have plagued history for thousands of years. Welcome to Historic Hindsight. Welcome to another episode of Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're going to talk to you about Y2K.
Y2K. So back in 1999, we're way back when I was in the middle schools, going to a parade, I guess, on December 31st in Columbus, Indiana. I remember there were like these Chinese dragon things that were going through the parade. I don't know why we had Chinese dragons.
Well, because it's nowhere near the Chinese New Year, so of course you would. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, it made total sense. But Y2K, so most people have heard the terminology before. We grew up with it. Johnny, you specifically requested this because you had no knowledge about what the hell it was.
Yeah, so here's my, as a middle schooler during the Y2K scare, I, of course, had no fear of anything actually happening because I was in middle school and you're invincible and, of course, nothing bad's going to happen. And so I kind of got lost in what it actually was, what actually happened, and why it was a big deal, or if it was actually a big deal, or if it was just one of these things that was kind of sensationalized. And
Well, and I'll go through it and I'll let you at the end of it decide what level of real threat there was or if it was sensationalized. I mean, obviously, looking back at it now, since we know nothing happened, most people would think that it was just bullshit and
right.
media fear mongering, all that crap.
Yeah,
But
well,
I
and
mean, there
I
is always
remember
that.
the day after, like, nothing happened. Everyone's like, "Ah, ha, 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 I told you." And
Yeah, but it's also one of those like catch-22 things, like where if they fixed the problem, then there would be no problem. So, yep.
right.
But we'll get
Yeah.
there. So it goes by many, many, many names. The year 2000 problem, Y2K problem, the millennium bug, Y2K bug, or just holy shit, the world's going to end because somebody said somewhere that it could end.
Right. Yeah. Which is usually what causes the most hysteria. Nothing that's like official at all. Just some guy on YouTube said, "Hey, everybody's gonna die because on Y2K the aliens are gonna come back and eat out our brains or whatever they're gonna do."
Yeah, exactly. And so this whole problem stems from basically human laziness and in memory limitations on early computers. So even
Okay.
in my life growing up, the 32 megabyte floppy disk was like the standard format for saving once I
Right.
was in middle school at the year 2000.
Yeah.
And that's nothing in comparison to what memory we have today. My phone has 250 gigabytes on it. I mean,
Yeah.
I just bought a USB stick for $3 that had 16 gigabytes on it. I mean, and so
Yeah.
we don't think of memory limitations as like hard drive space or RAM space or that kind of stuff. So it doesn't kind of compute with us. But
Right.
what was
Yeah.
going on
Memory's been so cheap and easy to come by for so long that you forget that
at one point in
32
time, it wasn't.
megabytes was like a big deal, and now it's like that's
Bits.
yeah.
Even worse than John, it was bits
Oh,
at one
megabit.
point.
Yeah.
Bits,
Yeah.
that's less than megabytes.
Right.
Just you get a couple of bits. And so what had happened is all the way back to the dawn of computing, even the very first computers that used punch card systems that weren't really, they were mechanical calculators as
Right.
opposed to computers.
Yeah, I
They,
got to use those punch cards all the time as scrap paper at my grandma's house.
yep, they changed it. Yeah, that's God, and that stuff has to be just littering landfills right about
Oh,
now. But in any case, they changed the 4-year dates, so like today is 2020. They changed
right.
that to just be 20.
Yeah, makes sense. Shorten it.
Shorten it up. That saves human time and coding, and that saves space on those damn punch cards
Yeah.
that you have
It's
limited space with.
yeah, it's 2 digits there.
2 digits.
Multiple times.
Um, when the very first computers came out, the very, very first actual like computing computers, uh, like the UNIVAC, like we talked about before. Remember that
Right.
that $50 million computer that the
Yeah.
U.S. government bought
That could barely fit in your garage.
that could barely fit in your garage? They were being coded using those same punch cards. So because the punch cards existed, they're trying to keep all that data. So when all that data gets
Right.
transferred to the new hard drives, they keep that 2-digit date system in place. The
Okay.
problem is, Johnny, if I give you the date 14, how are you supposed to know what year it is? Is it 1914,
Right.
1814, 2014?
Right.
No idea to know. And as a human, we can look at certain context cues to get
Yeah.
an understanding of what that date
Yeah,
is.
I could figure it out. Like if we're talking about world wars and you mentioned 14 or 17 or whatever, I could picture that you're not talking about 2014,
14.
like you're
Yeah,
it's the early
exactly.
1900s. Yeah.
The
Context
problem
clues.
is, for as smart as computers are, they're only as smart as the code given to them. Now, when I was in high school, I messed around a little bit with C++ programming and HTML programming and all that crap.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, programming is a pain in the fucking ass, and that's why I don't do it anymore nowadays.
Yeah.
And more power to everybody who's able to, because when you put a comma in the wrong space, dear God, it's
Yeah,
awful.
yeah, computers aren't actually smart machines. I mean, maybe the AI ones now that they're coming out with are, but computers are really, really dumb and do exactly what you tell them to do,
Exactly what you're
even if
telling
that
me.
makes zero sense at all.
And so to make it really dumbed down and simple, uh, most of your lines of coding for, let's say, dates would be if this number is less than that, then move to this point, or if this number is greater than that, move to this point.
Okay,
So the problem comes down to, when you're using a two-digit format, when 99 rolls over to 2000, the computer doesn't know what to do with that information because it wasn't programmed what to do with that information.
sure.
So it could do one of three things basically. It could roll that 99 over to a double zero, no problem.
Yeah,
It can roll that 99 to 100, which would cause a crash because it's only formatted in two-digit
for
formats.
yeah.
So
Now all of a sudden it's trying to get
do
three
a
digits
three and
into
it'll
there,
crash
and
it.
yeah,
Or it'll go into a loop where it doesn't know what the hell to do and it'll just
right.
freeze.
Yeah, it just keeps like a false reading or something, like whatever.
Exactly. By 1964, IBM introduced their 360 computer system with a new operating system that didn't need punch cards at all. We'd gotten rid of the punch cards, but
About time.
you know what they still use, Johnny? That
A
two-digit
two-digit.
date system, because it was already
So
programmed in. The code was already.
instead of adopt, instead of saying, "Hey, we're going to innovate and move beyond this two-digit this punch card system and everything," they
It's
just
just pure human
used it.
laziness.
Yeah, they just used the punch card system, but made it so it's digital now. But
Pretty
didn't
much, pretty
change
much.
or update anything, or
And,
good
and
for
part of
you,
that was
IBM.
because they wanted to ensure that there would be backwards compatibility with the old punch card format. So we wanted to make sure that if we did feed, for whatever reason, a punch card into a new computer that doesn't need it at all, it
Yeah,
would know what that was. Which,
yeah,
uh, I'll tell you this, Johnny, from playing lots of vintage video games, go onto eBay and buy yourself an old, like, not even that old, but like early 90s computer game. We'll
uh huh,
say, I don't know, Civil War Generals 2. It's an early
yeah.
90s computer and a 32-bit system. Now
Oof.
try to get that to play on a modern 64-bit
Oh
computer.
no,
It, it can be done because I
I
did
mean,
it, but it
sorta.
took a shit ton of work.
Yeah. Well,
So
I remember, and this was sometime in the 90s when we had moved, like we had the big floppies, the 7-inch floppies or 5-inch floppies or whatever, the big
five
ones.
and a quarter, yeah,
And I
you'd,
had
you'd have
a,
had five and a
yeah,
quarter.
yeah. And I had a pool game on it. And then we got a new computer, and I'm like, well, this is going to be great. I can run this pool game on this new computer and play it. But the new computer was so much faster that when I played it, everything, like all my movements, actions, everything I did was sped up to like this, it boosted the processing speed of the actual game. And so it was unplayable.
Yeah, and that's the problem with computer programs from this time frame. Anything that was usually based on DOS, it's like
Yeah.
the faster the processor gets, the faster that program runs. Like modern
It's,
computers, like
yeah.
modern computer programming, it accounts for different processor speeds and that kind of stuff. And
Right.
it,
It says you play it at this speed all the
yes,
time.
it'll limit your processor down to that. In fact, there are even like workstation computer processors now that have like 64 cores, which blows my mind that there are processors out there with 64 cores. Modern video games can't play off 64 cores, so you
No.
actually have to go into your processor and dumb them down, kind of like
Yeah.
what we had here with this old stuff that would run
Yeah.
way
Simplify
too
it.
damn fast. My point here being is, yeah, backward compatibility is nice up to a point, but there's a point where that data becomes so archaic that you might as well use the old system if you're going to use that software, that program.
Right.
Hence why I still have my
It's
computer from 2003.
yeah. It's kind of like microfiche. Like
Yeah,
that's a really great technology, but in order to continue to make it usable and accessible, they've completely digitized it now. And so that and they didn't just program something else to read it. They just had to scan it and modernize it and digitize it so that they could actually still use all of that information. And so it had to be something like that.
yeah, exactly. And the real reason why they continued the two-digit date code at this point in computing history was that it saved a few bytes of data. Bytes, not megabytes, not
Right, yeah.
gigabytes, bytes. Uh, and when a 5 megabyte hard drive of this time was A, the size of a room, and B, cost tens of thousands of dollars for a 5 megabyte hard drive.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, it's size of a room and cost tens of thousands of dollars.
You can get 5 terabyte hard drives for like $400.
Oh, even less than that, Johnny. I was
Like
at I was at Walmart looking at an external 4 gigabyte or 4 terabyte, excuse me, hard drive for possibly running a server, and it was $84 for
that's
4 terabytes.
that's insane.
Yeah, so I mean, memory is so cheap now and is so large and
Yeah.
ridiculous that you don't think about it. But yeah, man, well, hell, my very first computer I had in high school while I was doing C++ programming was 4 gigabytes
Oh
of
yeah.
hard drive space.
Yeah, hard drive, not RAM.
Yeah, that's hard drive, not RAM, not RAM. Don't confuse this with RAM. Hard
Yeah.
drive. Yep. Even when IBM wound up introducing their new 360 line, that would eventually be a problem, they knew this whole two-digit code was an issue. Like when they recoded it, when they did this, they're like, look, eventually when the year 2000 hits, this
Yeah.
computer is going to get confused as to what the hell's going on, and we're probably going to need to fix this. But it's 1964, Johnny, and you know what they're thinking? Who the hell is going to be using this software, these computers
Right.
in the year 2000? That is absolutely fucking ridiculous. But do you know who was
Well,
still using that shit, Johnny?
our
The
government.
US government.
Well, you know what? We paid for it. We're gonna get our money's worth out of it, and might as well put all our important information on it too.
Yeah, why not? Uh, the also the most of your banks were using this archaic kind of software because yeah, while they might upgrade the computer systems, that software that worked isn't broken. Why fix it?
It
And when it's
costs and it costs a lot of money to validate a new software system for a company.
it costs an ass ton of money to
Yeah.
update computer systems. I mean, that very first UNIVAC computer that we talked about way back in a history, this
Hmm.
week in history, that I mean, it literally cost millions of dollars
Oh yeah.
for a computer that was basically equivalent to a pocket calculator nowadays. I mean,
Yep. Yeah, well, I mean, when I worked at Roche, any type of system that you had that you wanted to bring in that was new, that was something innovative or whatever, you had to completely validate that system and prove, like with hard copy records and everything, that it worked as it was supposed to work and all this other stuff.
and
And
it made
the
improvement before
man
they were
hours
doing
in it and everything else were just insane. And so like they were very, very hesitant to try any new sort of software or programming just because it's like this is a big cost. And then if you go through the validation and there's something that doesn't work, that's wasted money now.
it. Yeah.
So yeah, they're going to be pretty unwilling to
So
update.
so large corporations, government entities, and this is governments across the world. It's not just the
Oh
U.S.
yeah,
that
yeah,
was stupid and was using this archaic information,
right.
but it's everybody from a business standpoint. But your personalized computers and stuff. Usually, when you go out to WalMarts or Best Buys or well, there's no longer a Circuit City anymore. I don't think.
You could
When
try
you go to
though.
those places and you buy your computers, you're not buying like you. I hope you're smart enough to not buy 20-year-old technology. You're buying the best of the best, the newest of the newest.
Yeah, yeah. You're buying whatever the newest on the market is, or maybe 1 year old, like because they're gonna stop carrying it after that.
So
Like they're
right
not
from the
gonna sell you
get go,
old stuff.
this is a business and a government problem, not a personal home computer problem. But
Okay.
but but we'll get there in a little bit as to the whole chaos and all that crap.
All
But
right.
what's important to know now is that we enter a guy by the name of Bob Beamer. He was an IBM programmer and he was working with the Mormon Church on a genealogy program, and he was
Oh
the
God.
first to make this whole issue public to the outside world. And while
Okay.
he's working on the Mormon Church genealogy program, obviously he's dealing with dates of the 1900s, 1800s, 1700s, and he goes, "Hey, hey, hey, guys, um, How do we
Yeah.
distinguish this in the
So
computer?
yeah, so Grandpa was born in 1863. Great great grandpa was born in 1714. Like, what are we doing here?
IBM said, "Yeah, don't worry about it. Just figure it out. Like, we're not going to fix it. So you come up with your own code or something for your specific program. But two
Yeah, sorry.
digits,
That's
Johnny.
that's
Two
a you
digits
problem.
are the wave of the future. 2-digit years. We don't need that 4-year crap. 2-digit years only.
I mean, we
So
might have to go down to 2-digit years just to not confuse people in a little while because we're
we had
we're
to.
kind of getting dumb.
Well, the thing is, we had to remind everybody about the problem with 2-digit years that we're seeing in 2020 is that if I just leave the 2-digit as 20 when I'm signing a legal document, anybody can go in and do 2007 now or 2023 or
Okay, and
any kind of 20 that they want. So,
what's the value of that?
well,
Someone does that. You
I
write
don't know,
someone a
but
check, and
remember when the media was all
they date it instead of 2020. They dated 2007. What are they
wow.
getting out of that?
Well, Johnny, if I wrote a play today and I want it copyrighted and I write 2007 and somebody wrote that same play in 2006, I can now redo that document to 2005 and now I made the play first.
Yeah, there's zero ways to check that. So I guess you got us.
I got you, Johnny. In any case, so he winds up making his own writing a new code for the specific program that basically uses numerical digits in front or of the number digits. So he'll put an A for 1700, a B for,
Okay.
and just do it that way. So that way the computer program knows and can distinguish the dates
Eh,
and it can get a printout.
that's a clever
Real,
little workaround.
real simple way to fix that computer problem.
I mean, it seems
He
like a good
offered this,
workaround, right?
huh?
It seems like a good workaround.
Yeah, right. It was a good workaround, and he offered the solution to IBM, who said, "Yeah, we don't need that." Uh,
So IBM. So hold on. IBM said, "No, we can't fix your problem. You go fix it." And he went and fixed it, and then brought it back to them and said, "Hey guys, do you want the solution to this problem that I had in case somebody else has it?" And they're like, "No."
yep, yep.
All right,
That's
that's great.
pretty much it. Yep. This was actually considered such a mundane problem at this point that the Federal Information Processing Standards Division, which why is our government so large that we have an entity called the Federal Processing Standards Division, stated that all information exchanged between U.S. government agencies would use the new 2-year date system. There's no way that's going to bite you in the ass and say 40 years.
Oh my god. Well, they'll let the future governments worry about that.
Well, that's past Tommy is an asshole to future Tommy because past Tommy
Yep.
makes future Tommy do a lot of shit.
Every single year, present John curses past John for not putting away the Christmas lights the right way.
And
Every
you know what?
year.
And you know what you're going to do, Johnny, this year at Christmas? You're going to
Um,
curse that past Johnny. And
And
you know
then
what you're going to do when you take the Christmas lights down? You're going to throw them up on the ball because
I'm gonna be
they're
like,
all
"Yeah,
over
you
my
know
lawn.
what? I'm gonna let future John deal with this because he's an asshole."
Yeah, I do the same damn thing. Countless programmers would actually continue to go on voicing their concerns, but they also were largely ignored because do you know how much money that's going to cost to fix this? Do you know how much time that's going to cost to fix this? Oh yeah, by the way, what was one program is now being, compiled with more programs and more programs and more programs, and they're still using
Yeah,
that 2-year date digit. So we're just making this worse.
they're just digging,
They're
just
digging.
digging that hole. And I like how they're like, all these programs come, they're like, "Nerds, you don't know what you're talking about. Shut up. We're doing it just fine. It works now, doesn't it?"
Oh man, the nerds. It's like watching Revenge of the Nerds. So what changed, Johnny? Well, the internet in the 90s made it possible for you to talk to anybody anywhere about anything.
AOL Instant Messenger.
AOL. We might do an episode on AOL because God, you know what? That's nostalgia. I miss
Oh,
messaging.
it just
You've
defined
got mail.
my childhood.
Well, what defined my childhood was I was always a Microsoft team. So when MSN came out, I was always arguing with my friends about how MSN Messenger was so much better than AOL, which
Yeah. Okay.
it was, and it
Okay.
did last longer.
Yeah, but you were arguing with your friends about which one was better, either in person or on Instant
No,
Messenger.
on Instant Messenger, and
Because
I had AOL, and I
nobody
had
was on
yeah,
MSN.
I had
I tried
AOL
it.
and MSN.
I tried it. I gave it a go. I had an MSN thing, but I no one was ever on it.
I had both because I had lots of virtual friends, but not a lot of real life friends. It was weird.
But you were just ahead of the times, Tommy.
I was ahead of the times, right? Once the internet, like I said, took over in the 1990s, it began spreading the attention of this Y2K problem, which then you allow yourself to get access to things like conspiracy theorist people who are like, the world is going to end. And the internet's new, and people don't understand that anybody can put anything on the internet.
Oh man, this had to have been like if you are a crackpot who has conspiracy theories, the mid to late '90s. What a heyday that must have been. I mean,
Uh,
you can put literally anything onto the internet, and
and
people gobbled it up.
and you know how the media tends to grab a hold of a thing that might not be that big of an issue and then expand it into something that's a little bit more of an issue than what it really is.
The American media?
Yeah, the American media, Johnny.
I'm not familiar with them ever doing that with anything, Tom.
Well, they grabbed a hold. Let me tell you, they grabbed a hold of this idea and they
You
ran
know?
with it. They started producing an ass ton of documentaries, how to survive guides, what you need to know about the Y2Ks, and all this
So
information being 100% accurate. It was such a big deal, Johnny, that Leonard Nimoy, long
yeah,
live and prosper,
right.
had his own, like, he was the host of one of these documentaries about how you and your family can survive
Okay.
Y2K.
Okay, I might be putting you on the spot here, but how would one survive Y2K according to these documentaries or whatever?
Well, the idea that was being spread is that, which is not completely unfounded. If,
Well, there's
for instance,
it's a seed of truth, right? Like,
if you have a nuclear facility, power plant, for instance, that's
I
running
do. Yeah.
off of this, two-digit date, and if they didn't get the Y2K fix, like you patch it so that it knows what 2000 is as opposed to
Right.
1900s, it is potential that that computer, in one of the three things that it does, would be to crash completely. And
Okay.
in that crash completely, if that computer is controlling said power plant, you now no longer have power to wherever that power plant was feeding power,
Sure.
right? So there are is that
I mean, just
actual
run a
legitimate
backup
real,
generator.
well, yeah, but that's controlled by a computer too, Johnny. So there
No,
is that
those gas
legitimate, like,
powered ones.
concern that power could have been lost. If you have
Okay.
a nuclear missile silo that's operating on that computer that resets itself, there is that potential that when that computer resets itself, oops, the missile gets launched.
Yeah, they should make a movie about that.
Well, we'll get there, Johnny.
Wait a
We are
minute.
gonna, we are gonna get there. So, beyond the whole, like,
Okay.
how to survive a, duck and cover kind of bullshit, they did offer, and some of these, like, I've watched a couple of them. Some of them, like, do give legitimate, just general pointers on how to survive, like how to recycle water, how to, hunt for food, how to do
So
proper food storage, how to,
so
like,
okay, so was this really the kind of start of this prepper movement? Or were preppers around before that?
yes and no. I mean, preppers had been around all the way back from the Cold War when they thought nuclear annihilation.
Okay.
So the bomb
Oh
shelter
yeah,
thing.
I remember. I forgot the '50s bomb shelters and stuff. Yeah.
But Johnny, the '90s brought all that shit back, and
Okay.
bomb shelters, prep fooding, all that kind of
Yeah.
doomsday apocalypse stuff had never been sold at a higher level prior to the whole Cold
Right.
War stuff. So since the Cold War happened, most of that leveled off, and then all of a sudden, people were literally building bomb shelters
Yeah.
because Leonard Nimoy told them. Leonard Nimoy said a nuke might hit your house. So
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, you can never be too careful, except for the people who are way too careful, I suppose.
Doomsday companies in the 90s started going off the wall and selling all kinds of crazy random shit. In one of these documentaries, the Leonard Nimoy documentary, there's a doomsday prepper, and behind him, he goes, there's going to be all these future foods, and behind him are a bunch of tins of like food that's
Yeah.
labeled, and one of them just says taco. Not not tacos, Johnny.
Nope, just a
Taco.
taco.
A taco in the coffee can.
Yeah, that's it. It's one taco.
You get one
I wonder if
taco.
it's hard shell or soft shell.
You know what? I don't know. It'd be interesting to find. You would think soft shell would probably go bad quicker, maybe.
Well, I mean, you're gonna have a problem. You're gonna have the soft shell is gonna harden, and the hard shell is gonna kind of soften. So it's kind of
It's
whatever.
worst of both. Did you know that you can actually there are prep foods and all this kind of stuff like prep canned meats and that kind of stuff? There is canned bacon. I'm kind of curious. I kind of want to buy it, but it's like $10 for a can, and I don't want to spend $10 for a pound of bacon.
For
That's ridiculous.
that's probably not very good. Also,
I'd imagine it's probably not. No, but obviously, once this media hits, I mean, when Leonard Nimoy is running around telling people that the end is near, local, state, and federal governments start taking notice across the world. Like, hey guys, hey computer programmers that you told us this was going to be a problem
yeah,
60 years ago. Hey, so what are you guys doing?
yeah. Can you
Yeah,
fix it now,
uh,
real quick,
we
please?
were listening now because Leonard Nimoy said it.
Yeah,
So
a famous person said something was wrong. It's like Tom Hanks getting coronavirus. Everyone's like, "Oh, wait, this is real now." Somebody famous had it.
somebody famous had it. Yep. Well, not everybody still believes it's real, but anyways, they brought out the retired computer programmers that were writing the COBOL code, which was the original code way back in 1964. So they brought these guys out of retirement who are 1 foot in the grave already, anyways.
I mean, I love the idea that they're just gonna be like, "Hey, remember this thing you did 40 years ago? Can you can you make it
Can you
better or
can you
fix it?"
fix it?
Like, I
Uh,
don't like if literally I've been away from Roche for like 7, 8 years. I don't know. I don't even know, 7 years maybe.
that's
I
been a
wouldn't
minute.
be able to go back and just do what I did.
Hop right into it with modern
Like,
technology. Like,
yeah,
not
it
only are
was
you
gonna
being
take a minute.
asked to do what you did, but
Yeah,
there's going to be new computer systems. There's going to be new
yeah.
hardware. There's going to be new equipment everywhere that you
Nothing's
don't
gonna
know
be the
what to do with.
same.
Yeah. But they were asked to come out of retirement and help write new code. Uh, Lots of individual contractors were hired to fix the issue. Up to $1,500 a day were offered to computer programmers. So,
Hello.
like, that is fucking astonishing, like how much money they're making. But then again, like, you got to think about this. Like, it's not going to be a long term career. I'm not
No,
going to
no,
be
no.
a Y2K compliant person for the rest of my life. I'm going to be a Y2K compliant person for 8 months.
That's how companies hire contractors. Like they get paid so much more than somebody in a salaried position would, but because they are only going to use them for 6 to 8 months. And so they're
So,
like, "Yeah, we'll pay you that," and then you're just gone. Like we're going to take all of your ideas, all your information, everything from your brain, and then you're gone.
and it's out of
Sorry.
there. Yep. By 1998, we don't have an exact figure on how much money the global economy spent on Y2K fixes, but by 1998, the estimate was that on the high end, $500 billion of monies were spent, which is equivalent to $786 billion today. And that's government agencies. That's not including like what private companies like
Yeah.
Chase Bank was spending on
Right.
upkeep
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I'm sure it was a significant portion of their budget for those years too.
Just a metric ass ton of money. So we
Yeah,
have this
well, because
panic.
if you're a big company and you think that this is going to ruin your system or whatever else, and you're waiting for for a fix or whatever else, if you don't think a fix is coming, you have to just manually transfer data
And hope for the best.
and say, and so you get a bunch of interns and shit just start typing away on the computers.
Like you were in high school.
Like, yep, exactly like what I did. I was actually I transferred data from slips of paper. I can't even remember what it's called right now, but the it fades away after like 10 years. And so I had to find all of these
Oh,
things and
thermal paper.
thermal paper, there it is. Yeah, I had to scan all the thermal paper and then put it into an Excel spreadsheet. And so that's all I did.
Jesus, that had to be an awful
Useless.
job.
And then I'm sure it's stuff that's never going to be looked at or needed ever.
Oh, I'm sure that hard drive that you typed all that shit into crashed, and they're like,
Oh,
oh well.
didn't need that. Like,
So enter now corruption in advertising. So where you have fear, you always have people who want to exploit said speed.
Opportunity. Yeah.
So one, you might be sitting here thinking, Johnny, when you grew up, I don't remember updating anything on my home personal computer. I don't remember doing any patches. I don't remember anything. I do remember Best Buy warning you to turn your computer off on December 31st
Yeah.
before midnight for some reason.
Yep. Yep.
Uh,
Unplug
but
it
I
too.
don't remember. But I don't remember doing anything else. And why might that be? Well, Johnny, that's because IBM computers, Apple computers, and any normal mainstay PC that was a copy off of an IBM computer
It
since
was
the
most.
1980s, since Apple II, Johnny, personal computers are using 4-digit date codes.
So this doesn't affect any
So there
normal
was
person.
absolutely zero worry about any personal computer running in your house during this time.
So really the big threat was you could lose power.
Potentially, yes.
And
But
like the grid will go down, whatever. The grid goes down and then chaos and whatever else. But all your stuff's fine.
But,
Oh,
here's the thing, Johnny. I understand that. I explained it to you so you understand that.
yeah, I
I'm
get it.
sure the three listeners we have at home, one of which I know is computer savvy, he understands that.
Yeah.
But if I told the same thing to my parents or to your parents, they would not understand that. They need that fancy little sticker that says Y2K compliant to be slapped on
Hey.
everything. And I mean, this damn sticker was slapped on everything. Computer games that had nothing to do with date codes, toaster ovens,
Yeah.
Johnny, were slapped with Y2K compliant stickers. If it ran off of electricity, chances are somebody somewhere was advertising a
Yeah.
Y2K compliant version.
So it's like the organic or like gluten-free sticker.
Yes.
It's like you get gluten-free stickers on like things that don't wouldn't ever have gluten in them.
Yeah.
Or or like you're saying like you really sincerely and you're like now zero bleach. You're like, wait a minute, was there ever bleach? No.
I do have to say this because you got onto the gluten thing, and this is just random. The wife bought these gluten-free cheese wraps. So instead of using bread
Okay.
for your sandwich wrap, you use cheese. And I tell you this, not because I give a shit about being gluten or any of that crap, because I'm not, I don't care. But those cheese wraps, Johnny, way better than bread. It is delicious.
Wait, so you're saying just like wrap
It is a hunk of
meat
cheese that you
and
put
cheese?
you put your lettuce and your tomato and your turkey or whatever your preferred
Yeah.
meat is, and then it's a wrap, and then you just
So
eat
it's
it.
just like going to a cheese and meat tray and just slapping everything into your hand for a sandwich. I'm
Yeah,
down with that.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I'm
delicious,
all right with that.
delicious. Johnny, even VHS tapes were labeled with Y2K. What the hell? It doesn't
It's Y2K
like.
compliant, Tom. It's not going to have any issues with Y2K. It will not attract a nuclear warhead to your house. It doesn't
I
have that
guess
tracker in
I
it.
guess that's what they were going with, right? There was a massive run on gun stores.
You don't say.
Which anytime there's any kind of fear mongering or anything,
Anytime there's anything that happens ever,
there's a run on gun stores. I mean,
everybody buys guns and ammo.
right now, go to your local gun store and try to buy some ammo. It's probably going to be limited in stock. But what's amazing about this is people were running in asking for Y2K compliant guns.
Yes. Important. You don't
Johnny,
want that. You don't want that gun going off in the
Johnny,
middle of the
I
night
got a
on you.
I got a Y2K compliant gun for you. It is
That
my
is definitely
1855
Y2K compliant.
Springfield musket. It is guaranteed 100% to work in the apocalypse if you
Yep.
know how to load it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, bet I could not make that work. I don't think.
Like there are like I guess maybe this comes from like in the 90s there were like talks about trying to like make smart guns that had computers in them so that way the only person that could shoot it was the owner or
well,
some shit like that. That was a thing that was being toyed with, but
well,
there is no like 99.9% of firearms out there have no computer systems in them at all.
no, but I think it
None.
comes from the 90s with the whole with I mean with the technology boom and everything else that we had. People really freaked out and were really hesitant to start adopting these and bringing these computers into our home that could do Lord knows what. And then there's webcams on some of these too that you can get. And now who's watching me? And like
I always
people are gonna
feel
think they're
like
putting chips into
somebody.
things and everything else. Like I can see how people would be stupid enough to be like, I
Stupid
need
enough
a
to think
gun
that
that's
they need a
Y2K
Y.
compliant.
They need a Y2K. I really hope some gun store somewhere sold somebody a musket. Like, yeah, this is Y2K
Only
compliant.
one. The rest of them could have a chip in it. We just don't know.
Yep, we don't know. This
They're
one
mass
definitely doesn't
produced
though.
nowadays.
Uh, Obviously Hollywood pops in on the scene with its own take on things, and you're already smiling because
Well,
I made you watch one of these.
and it's such a Hollywood thing to do too. Because like
Yeah,
what happened when the climate, people started paying attention to climate change of the scare.
you
All the movies
you
were
shut
end of
your mouth.
days things.
Day After Tomorrow is one of my guilty pleasures. I
I'm not
love
saying, hey,
the shit out of that movie.
I'm not saying that they're bad movies or anything was done wrong. I'm just saying when there's a scare, Hollywood's like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and make buku bucks off of this.
Although oddly, Johnny, when I say Hollywood, I should actually recant that because none of these movies they were all straight to TV or VHS. Like there wasn't.
Oh,
I'm actually surprised there wasn't a big in movie theaters
like a box
release of
office
something.
hit. I'm
Maybe they
surprised the
didn't have
one
enough
that we
time to make the
watched.
movie because the Panic really started in about '98, so maybe they didn't have enough time to
That
make
could
it.
be. And then I wonder how many ideas got scrapped after nothing happened. Like how February of 2000, that movies that have been working on for like a year and a half, like we're gonna release this and it's gonna be amazing. And it'll be like, be this prophecy or foretelling or whatever, and then nothing happened. They're like, shit, we can't
We can't
we
do it.
can't do anything with this anymore. This is a
So there,
garbage movie now.
So there are 3 movies right now, if you go and search them on IMDb, that come up with the name Y2K. There is
Okay.
Y2K Year to Kill, which is by far the most low-budget movie, although it is the only one of the 3 that that I could find that had a VHS release. And dear God, on eBay, this movie goes for like $400 because of how rare it is.
It sounds like a horror cult classic.
It might be. It is definitely a movie that was made in somebody's basement.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like me or you make a movie and somehow
Like
it
Blair
got
Witch
into
Project style.
somehow it got
Big
onto a
bad.
VHS and then got into the rental scene because there were
Right.
movie stores did carry this movie. There was Y2K Countdown to Chaos.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
And my favorite and your favorite,
Is this the
Johnny.
one I watched?
This is Y2K Terminal Countdown, and I'm going to play a trailer for the viewers at home because you have to before I talk about it, you have to understand what I'm coming from.
Man holds in his mortal hands the power to abolish all forms of human life.
The silo triggered by the first minute of the new year. That sounds suspiciously like a Y2K malfunction.
Yes, General.
Our screens here indicate that in 32 hours' time, one of our nasty little redbirds is going to launch itself from the Colombian jungles and take out Moscow.
What do you do?
It's agreeing to accept the stand-down code.
Shut it down right away.
None of the current codes are working. The computer assures us the codes are known only to, Cocoleo.
When the only person
Who the hell is that?
who can avert full-scale nuclear war
You remember who held the code name Coco Leo?
is unavailable.
Coco Leo, as I recall, was Richard Nixon.
The Marine team has been ordered to meet at a specified checkpoint in 4 hours. My job is to regain control of our silo.
You're the key to this whole thing. I'm sure you know exactly what kind of global mess we'll have on our hands if that bird flies.
Oh, it will.
Damn it, it can't.
Sometimes it's hard to win the game when you don't even know who's on your team.
I ain't changed anything.
Louis Gossett Jr., James Woolvet, Edward O. Ross, Sarah Chalk, Ishmael Carlo, and Malcolm McDowell. When midnight strikes, all bets are off. Y2K.
Johnny, I love this movie.
It literally has everything, Tommy.
It
Literally.
has every movie cliche you could possibly have. is
Russian
in this damn
spy
thing. Yep.
who
Yep.
happens
Who
to
is
be a female martial
who-
arts expert at
Yep.
that.
and you're missing the best part. She's the hot chick from Scrubs, Johnny.
Yeah, so totally fake Russian accent. That's really poorly done. Loved her in Scrubs, but just really poorly done Russian accent. It has, I mean, there's explosions basically throughout the movie.
There is
There's
quicksand.
guerrilla
in this movie.
warfare, traitors, hackers, car chase scenes, quicksand.
And I love the hacker guy. He's got the stupidest fucking haircut you could ever have.
Oh.
It's this weird half bowl cut thing. And
Well,
he every time he's on scene, he has to mention that I'm a hacker man.
yeah,
And the government wants me because I'm a hacker man.
I prefer the term
hired
hacker.
I was the only guy that was hired by the U.S. government to fix the Y2K problem. And by the way, this whole movie, while it has a title Y2K in it,
Yeah.
it makes one reference to Y2. Where's the guy who was supposed to fix this Y2K thing? This missile's launching because of Y2K.
I need the Y2K expert. That's
It's
me.
full of-
Oh, but also I'm a super prankster because I'm a hacker man. And you
then
know he's good because he played a videotape at a wedding of a guy cheating on his wife at the very beginning of the movie. So you
Girlfriend
know
or
he's
whatever,
good
yeah.
because he
Yep.
knows how to hack that into the.
Yeah, he knows how to push play on a pre-recorded video device.
Yeah, but that's fine. Then he's Grand Theft Auto and steals his Ferrari or whatever.
They made sure they threw the name COBOL in there. He's like,
Yeah.
oh, this was programmed with COBOL. Let me get out my modern laptop, which is the most powerful laptop in the world. And you can tell it's the most powerful laptop in the world because it's got boxes with antennas hanging out the back.
Well, and he built it.
Hacker man.
That's how he knows it's the most powerful. I built it myself. Yeah, it was bad.
I think I'm going to make
Hard
you
to get
watch
through.
the other two of these movies if I can find them.
I'm not.
I'm going to
That's
make
a
you
hard. That's a hard
and then
pass.
we're gonna do a Y2K movie special.
Oh, woof.
Movies.
I mean, it was
It
worth having on in the background, but
For the viewers at home that are interested, Y2K Terminal Countdown and Y2K Countdown to Chaos are on YouTube. Look them up. Full
Yeah.
movies. They're both on YouTube.
yeah, it turns out the filmmakers are just excited someone wants to watch it, so they're not worried about the copyright infringement.
I haven't quite found Y2K Year to Kill yet, but there is a channel on YouTube that I like to watch called Cinemassacre. They did a review on Y2K Year to Kill, and I think they might have a link to, like, they scanned it in, and I think you might be able to go watch it there. But in any case, like I said, in Best Buy, with all this other chaos, they also threw on the pandemonium by their whole, like, turn your computer off before midnight for whatever reason.
Yeah, even as a middle schooler, I didn't understand how that was going to help solve any problem at all.
It wasn't. It wasn't. Because worst case scenario for your personal computer, if for whatever reason it was running any software that might have had that issue, it would have at worst crashed. You hit the reset button, it would have been fine.
Yeah, and it would have said, yeah, your computer was shut down improperly last time. Make sure you shut it down the right way this next time. I always felt chastised by my computer.
I miss that with Windows. Like, it was so, every time you shut it down
It
improperly.
was so mad at you.
God, man, Windows 98 and XP, they was so mad.
It's like, listen here, you asshole. You didn't properly shut me down last time, and you might screw things up if you do that again. So you're not going to do that again. Power down. Yeah, I'm going to do it again. Shut up.
So how do we fix this, Johnny? How do we fix this whole problem? Well, in 1984, a book was released called Computers in Crisis that not only detailed the problem, but it gave specific examples in the book. I mean, pages upon pages of corrected code that was issued in 1984 and released to the public.
They were like, nah, too long, didn't read.
Everybody's like, I don't want to read that.
That seems complicated. Ugh, look at all this nerd talk. Who's ever going to need this?
Well, essentially what it boils down to is an ass ton of rewriting of code. And this could be done in one of two ways. You could read that book and write the code according to that book,
Yeah.
which would rewrite all the 2 digits into 4 digits.
Great.
Or you could do what 80% of the software did, which was lazy man's way, and do what
Like
was
it.
called mirroring.
Ah, yeah.
Computer view uh, 2000 to 2020 as 2000 to 2020. So 00 to 20 would be recognized as 2000 to 2020. The problem
Great.
comes when you make the system look at 00 and view 2 as the first number instead of a 0.
Yeah.
When you hit that 2 digit,
Yeah.
which is a 2,
Uh-huh.
it confuses the fuck out of the computer. It's like, no, there's 2 2s. I don't know
Well,
what to do
but
with this.
Tommy, that's not going to be a problem for another 20 years.
And that's what they said. They said, look,
Well,
we know this is only a temporary fix, but that's 2020's problem. Fuck them.
we're gonna
Not
let
like
we're gonna
anything's
let
gonna
our
happen in
future
the 20s.
programmers deal with this. Oh, for good God. Yeah, tell me that the fix this time was just like a 10-year thing. And like
Uh,
2030 we're gonna have an issue again.
yeah, maybe. We'll get there. So what happened when midnight struck on 2000, Johnny? Well, nothing.
Yeah, not much.
Largely not a damn thing. I did have a party that I went to, or well, let me rephrase that. My brother had a party with his friends over. I went to the parade. I was macking on some girls. I should have known I was friend zoned when they called me their brother, but I didn't ever figure that out. So I was friend
Yeah.
zoned. It's cool. And then I came back to the party, and I remember one of Dan's friends was doing magic. So
Oh,
that guy got laid that night.
yeah, that's a good. I mean, was it card magic or coin magic? Do you
It was like
remember?
close up magic. He had cards, he had coins, and he had like
Oh,
this weird thing
everything.
that would change colors. Yeah,
Oh
he had a
man,
whole he had a
woof.
whole shebang of magic tricks in his pocketbook there, I guess.
Yeah, the line stars back there, ladies.
So obviously this instantly started the whole the government lied to us. This was
Right.
all
Yeah.
nothing, and well, or what it really was is the government spent a shit ton of money to get the problem resolved, and the problem was resolved.
Yeah. So
There,
they did their job, fixed the problem was fixed, and nothing happened. And of course, instead of people being like, "Oh, this is great," they fixed it and nothing happened. They're like, "Oh, nothing would have happened, and I'm mad now because why did I have to do whatever I had to do
which was
to
nothing. You had to
inconvenience
do
me?"
nothing. You had to sit there.
Yeah, but
Now,
they had to be scared for a little while, and they bought all sorts of doomsday supplies. What the hell are they gonna do with 15 buckets of mashed potatoes, Tom?
they're gonna eat 15 buckets. Oh my god! And the dehydrated, like I've had prepper food before.
It's bad. Yeah,
Not great.
no. Yeah, see, that's why I always say that's why I don't bother prepping. Like, if there's a situation where having a bunker and years of food is the only way that I'm gonna survive, I'm I'm not surviving that. Like, no, thank you.
I yeah, I'm not. For me, it's I've got a couple of guns, and I figure worst case scenario, I can take what I need,
Huh,
and if I
maybe.
die while trying to take what I need,
Yeah, except
problem solved
the only
too.
people around to take things from are people who also have guns and
Yeah,
supplies.
that is a problem.
Like,
Will be a problem. Well, oh well. I
yeah,
guess I'll have to join some kind of like war cult or something.
yeah. I'm sure there's other ways around it, but yeah, it's a capital no thank you from me in a post-apocalyptic scenario.
Yeah, but I did do some digging, Johnny. I did do some digging, and there were a couple of issues worldwide. So first off, a nuclear power plant in Tokyo, or Japan somewhere. It might not have been Tokyo specifically, but a nuclear plant in Japan did have a computer crash, which caused some radiation contamination issues.
Okay,
But they determined that that actually had nothing to do with Y2K, and the computer just happened to crash
just
on New Year's Day.
yeah,
Like, and it was all contained, and there was no
just
worry
a
to like
right because
there
they
was
had
no issue to public or anybody else because there's backup protocols
yeah
that keep that shit
yeah.
safe.
There's all sorts of fail safes in place that hey, if this computer dies, don't listen to it. Just shut everything down, lock it up,
A few
contain it.
people in the United Kingdom on January 1st were given wrong diagnoses when the computer did miscalculations due to their age because it calculated that the current date as being 1900, so they
Okay.
misdiagnoses. I imagine what that was
How,
like a woman who came in and was pregnant. They're like, your due date is
okay.
500 years ago.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, how would that misdiagnosed based on date?
I
But yeah,
imagine it's something like that. They
right.
didn't give specifics. They just said there was a few misdiagnoses based on their age being calculated wrong on the computer. There were some dialysis machines in Egypt that had to be reset, like they froze and they just had to
Ah, shit.
push the reset button on it.
Turn it
Well, who's
off, turn
getting
it back
dialysis
on.
at like midnight on January 1st?
It's a bad day.
It's a bad day. There was a reported video store that when a customer came in and returned a movie, he was charged a late fee of $90,000 because
Ooh,
it was late for 100
100
years.
years. Yeah, I mean that just by
You
the
know they made him
movie.
pay it too. They're like,
Uh,
no, you owe us.
Sorry, man.
Computer says,
I don't know what to tell you. It's in the system. I I just I just read the computer. It says you took this out 1899. That was a long time ago, dude. Don't even think it was out yet.
yeah. So, like I said, there's been this panic, and you go on the internets and you type in Y2K. Most people call it a hoax or whatever. In reality, it really was a combination of misunderstood panic and then successful programming. Like
Yeah.
there was
So
an issue,
it was a
but it was misunderstood.
big problem that was simple to fix that everybody blew out of proportion.
Exactly.
And instead they just simply fixed it and that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
But there was an estimate that did show that about 50% of the money was wasted on unneeded upgrades, like buying a new computer that says it was Y2K compliant.
Yeah, you want to know where the Geek Squad came from? They got their funding based on this.
Fucking never, ever, ever go to Geek Squad. You like just
For
don't
anything.
like it. Don't Google it. If you don't know what's wrong with your computer, Google it.
Yeah, I
Google
would.
it.
Yeah, I could be better at the Geek Squad desk than most of them, and I don't know shit.
I can definitely be better than Geek Squad desk.
Well, yeah, but you built a computer before, like several times.
Yeah, well,
That's at least some base knowledge.
yeah.
I've like, I went to a
My computer fix
website
is
to
just
install
reinstalling
more.
Windows.
Yeah, I just went to a website and installed more RAM on my computer. Slowed it down though; it was really weird. I don't know. They said I could download 100 gigs of RAM for like $99, so I did it. And now my computer's super slow, and I'm getting pop-ups and stuff. So I don't get it.
Weird. It must have worked though, because
Yeah.
oh well.
Well, I
So
mean, they
Johnny,
took my money, so I'm guessing they gave me the RAM. Like, they're not gonna just take the money.
do you think there was any issues from that whole like 2020 fix thing that we did? Like the whole like, hey, we mirrored it and 2020 might be a problem. Maybe there's some issues
Well,
there.
I mean, obviously, it sent us into a parallel dimension and ruined everything.
I
Because
think you're
look
right.
at where we are right now.
I think
This
it
is
very
not
much
reality.
I think it very much did. It did mess with parking meter sales terminals across the United States. It messed with ATM and debit card transaction delays. So basically, like the ATM and debit card machines were like, I don't know what year it is. And it delayed it for several days before.
Yeah, I
it
was
would-
noticing last time I tried to take out $10,000, it said I didn't have that in my account. It's just
Weird.
weird. Yeah.
How's that work? Point of sales terminals were also getting jacked up. But my favorite out of this is WWE 2K20 crashed on New Year's Day and didn't work for a whole day.
The server, the WWE. I mean, I'll bet both of those guys were really disappointed when
That
they
played
found out they couldn't
WWE
play.
games.
Yeah.
God. So you would also think that even after all this, the government would learn something like, hey, maybe we don't want to use outdated technology. I did find this one that came across. Can you guess, perhaps, Johnny, when U.S. nuclear missile silos updated their software storage formats from 8-inch floppy disks,
You're
not even the
right.
5 1/4. I mean, 8
No,
inch.
yeah, 8 yeah, yeah.
To any kind of modern format, and I'll even say modern format could include floppy disks like the 3 1/4 ones.
So
Can you
going to
give me a date of when the U.S. government decided to update its computer systems
all right. So
for nuclear
Yeah.
missile silos? These
I'm
are the
gonna
things that control nukes.
I'm gonna guess it's sat around for a while because you don't want to start messing with that stuff. You don't want to get too insecure. So I'm guessing they did put it onto either the 3.5-inch floppies or like a zip drive. So I'm gonna say late like 96.
2019. Last year, Johnny, they finally got around to updating their entire nuclear missile
Okay.
silo formats.
How long did it take before it was hacked for the first time? I'm guessing somebody somewhere has all of that information now.
Oh, God, maybe. I don't. The thing is,
They just don't know what to do with it yet.
Here's some of their logic there, though, because if they're using 8-inch floppy disks for storage formats, in
Who's
order
taking
to
that?
hack that, you have to have capabilities of recreating 8-inch floppies, and go and find me an 8-inch floppy.
Yeah,
So
good
to be
luck.
fair, by using such outdated stuff, it at one point it became more secure because nobody was.
Oh
using
yeah,
it.
no, absolutely, yeah, and that's why I thought 96 because I'm like they're gonna let it sit around for a long time and then just eventually have to do it because they're not gonna get the machines anymore or whatever. But for crying out loud,
Yeah,
2019, what's that? 50 years
for
ish,
nuclear missile silos. Yeah, I mean, from
like 50,
19,
60 years.
they would have been computer systems from like the late 1960s. So yeah, 50 years.
Jesus Christ.
60 years. Yeah, that's crazy. And my absolute favorite, what I'm going to end on here, is another computer date kerfuffle. My
Good
absolute
word.
favorite. I was one of 7 people that bought a Microsoft Zune. Now, if
Oh
you don't know
yeah.
what a Microsoft Zune is, it is a portable MP3 device.
So in on The Office, for the Office fans out there, Pam gets an iPod for one of the Christmas things, and then Roy, like, she gives it away, and Roy ends up buying her some cheap knockoff that was like virtually indestructible and like all this different stuff. It was a Zune basically, but they didn't get the rights to call it a Zune. Uh, but yeah, that episode always makes me think of you because you rocked that thing for ages.
The thing is, and it got stolen. Somebody stole that damn thing out of my car too. Like,
Man,
like, can I have it back?
they
Like, I
they
want.
obviously had no idea what to do with it.
No, they didn't. I want to buy a new one for like the historic tech when we start getting the historic tech channel running,
Yeah.
so I can do an episode on Zunes. But they're like $80, $90 on eBay right now.
Jesus.
Jesus,
I mean,
kind of
yeah,
expensive.
that's pricey.
I'll buy one at some
Eventually.
point.
Yeah.
But specifically, the Zune 30 GB version had a problem, and that problem was that whoever coded it forgot that leap year was a thing.
Okay.
So on December 30th at midnight on 2008, because leap year is a thing,
Yeah.
it didn't know that December 31st would exist because it already had 365 days. So it thought it should roll over to January 1st.
Oh
It got
no.
confused and crashed. Every Zune gigabyte or every Zune 30 GB in existence
Just
hard
done.
locked. It just hard locked. Like, you couldn't get it to do anything. Microsoft says, "Yep, we screwed up." For a temporary fix until we can get a programming fix for it, just let the battery die and then turn it back. Then recharge it once the battery's
Yeah.
completely dead. It'll be fine. Or wait until January 1st, the actual January 1st, and it'll be fine.
Or wait a day until
And
it actually lines up. Okay.
It did do that. It did work. They promised, they said, listen, the next new year, or the next leap year is not until 2012. So we promise that we'll have this fixed before 2012.
Why bother?
Insert me, because I got my Zune in like 2009.
And you're like,
And
guys,
I
did
didn't
you
know
fix
anything
that?
about
They're
this
like,
whole
what?
Zune 2K, Zune apocalypse thing
Yeah.
that had happened. And so 2012 rolls around, and it's December 30th, and I'm on my way to work, and the fucking thing won't boot up, and I'm getting mad. I'm like, I'm gonna have to buy a new one. This is bullshit. And then I go on and I do some research, and I realize that, oh wait, no, it's just Zune 2K repeated, because what had happened was Zune
The
was
two-person
no longer.
Zune team that was assigned to build and put together and support it got fired from Microsoft. Is that what happened?
Yeah, because Microsoft stopped supporting Zune and never got around to rewriting the code fix.
Yeah, so they fired the 2 interns hired to do the Zune project.
So so I had to wait 24 hours to listen to my book on tape. Like- you at home might be making fun of me because how stupid it sounds. You don't understand how important MP3 players were to the early
Oh,
20 teens.
yeah, they were it, man.
If you wanted a smartphone at this point, your choices were a BlackBerry or a Apple iPhone first generation,
Which
neither of
was
which had really good media players on them.
no, you had to have your iPhone and your iPod too.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, it wasn't like an iPhone that just suddenly took it over. Like they kept those separate at the beginning, and then
For
they're
a
like, "Wait a
while, I
minute,
think
we
it was
can."
like by maybe the third generation
Yeah,
iPhone
it was
where
it was
like
a
the
little ways.
iPods were finally no longer being sold.
Yeah, yeah, they kept them separate for a long time.
But I guess this goes to show you anybody who's making programs out there now, if you're all a computer programmer or whatever, dear God, use 4-digit dates and remember that leap year is a thing. That's it for this week's episode of Historic Hindsight. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and drop us a comment on future episodes you'd like us to do. Tune in next week when we talk about the Battle of Fredericksburg.